Picture this. You finally have the time. You finally have the freedom.
Right.
You've retired. The golden years are officially here. And you are heading out on that dream post-retirement trip you've been talking about for decades.
The one you've been planning forever.
Exactly. But then, the cabin doors close, the seatbelt sign dings, and reality hits you like a metal tray table to the knees.
Oh, no.
Yeah, you realize you are now stuck in a pressurized tube side by side with your spouse for the next 12 hours.
And suddenly all that unlimited, glorious free time you've been looking forward to feels, well, very, very concentrated.
Close.
You realize pretty fast that you aren't just traveling to a new destination. You are entering an entirely new psychological landscape with your partner.
That is a perfect way to frame it because, it raises a fascinating question. Why do couples who have successfully navigated 40 years of marriage, raise kids, manage mortgages?
Right, the really hard stuff.
Yeah, the hard stuff. Why do they suddenly find themselves on the brink of divorce trying to navigate a rental car in Tuscany?
It happens so often.
It really does. So today, we are investigating the psychology of post-retirement travel. We're pulling from a fantastic framework that explores this magical yet incredibly real season of life.
It's a really great source.
It is. Our mission for this deep dive is to uncover how you can plan genuinely meaningful trips, actually deepen your relationship, and, well, learn to laugh through the inevitable mishaps. Okay, let's unpack this.
I'm really looking forward to it. What stands out in the research we're reviewing today is how brilliantly it balances the very practical logistics of travel with deeper, almost spiritual reflections on companionship.
Yeah, it goes way beyond the usual advice.
Exactly. It doesn't just give you a packing list. It provides a literal survival guide for navigating a major life transition with the person you love most.
We really need that survival guide, too,
Mm-hmm.
especially when we look at the massive gap between the expectation of post-retirement travel and the physical reality of it.
The reality can be a shock.
Huge shock. I was thinking about this, and it feels like retirement travel is a highly anticipated software update.
Oh, I like that.
Yeah, like the new features sound absolutely amazing. Unlimited vacation days, no dress code.
Sounds perfect.
Right. Your brain, the new software, wants to run a million tabs at once. But you quickly realize your older hardware might struggle to run it.
That analogy is spot on. I mean, your retirement mindset is the new software, but your vintage hardware, like your physical stamina, your knees, it just has a lower processing speed.
Vintage hardware. Yes.
If you try to run that heavy software without plugging into a power source, like, say, a scheduled afternoon nap, the whole system is going to crash.
It's just inevitable.
You are no longer chasing work deadlines, right? You're out there chasing foreign sunrises.
Yeah.
But the physical vessel doing the chasing has changed.
And the framework we're looking at points this out so perfectly. Imagine you've been retired for 6 months. You decide to finally take that month-long trip to Europe, and you're thrilled.
As you should be.
Sure, until you realize you're in your 60s or 70s, and your ankles might not be quite as forgiving as your passports. The dream is sipping espresso on a Parisian balcony. But the reality might be getting into a hilarious, slightly tense encounter with airport security because they're scrutinizing your luggage.
Oh, the luggage check.
Right, and they're pulling out your favorite, I'm not a senior, I'm vintage coffee mug.
Which is a fantastic mug, by the way.
Highly accurate.
But the physical toll and the disruption to your routine are very real. I mean, think about the shock of packing for an extended trip.
It's a lot.
When you were 40, packing for a week meant just throwing things in a bag. Your body could handle the disruption of sleeping on a bad mattress or wearing the wrong shoes.
You could just bounce back.
Right. But packing for a month in your retirement, the logistics literally multiply. It feels less like traveling and more like relocating your entire life, mostly because you are deeply aware of your physical vulnerabilities.
Right. You look at the living room covered in luggage, pill organizers, and orthopedic shoes, and you just think, are we taking a vacation or are we moving to a new colony?
What's fascinating here is how acknowledging these limitations isn't actually pessimistic. It's the vital first step to intentional travel planning.
It's about being realistic then.
Exactly. If you pretend you have the stamina of a 25-year-old backpacker, you are actively setting yourself up for exhaustion and resentment.
Yeah, no one wants to travel with a resentful spouse.
No one. By laughing at the reality of aging ankles and heavy suitcases, you basically strip away the pressure to perform your vacation, and you allow yourselves to actually enjoy it.
So because our physical hardware can't handle the brute force travel of our 20s anymore, we have to hack the environment.
That's a great way to say it.
We can't just throw a dart at a map anymore. We have to transition from picking a destination to curating a specific vibe.
Curating a vibe is essential.
And to curate that vibe, you really have to ask yourself some core questions, starting with your energy level.
Precisely.
Hmm.
Think about your own spouse for a second. Are they a coffee on the porch kind of person, or are they going to drag you to 4 museums before lunch?
4 museums sounds like a nightmare to me.
Right. If you are a lower energy couple, you need to intentionally choose slower paces. That means opting for small towns over massive, overwhelming capitals.
Okay, that makes sense.
It means countryside stays and, yes, actually scheduling those built-in naps.
I have to say, a built-in nap sounds like a luxury upgrade to me. I
Yeah.
love that.
Yeah.
But I do want to push back a little on the budget advice we often hear for this demographic.
Okay, let's hear it.
The standard advice is always to book off-season travel to save money. But wait, are we just trading summer crowds for freezing rain? Like, is it actually worth it to go to Italy in November just to save a few bucks?
It's a fair challenge, but let's look at the underlying psychology and physiology of that choice. It's not just about the financial savings, though, retirement budgets are a factor.
Right, sure.
Think about what happens to your body in a crowded summer tourist trap. When you are hot, dehydrated, and surrounded by thousands of people, your body releases cortisol.
Oh, wow.
You are literally entering a mild fight-or-flight state.
So you're physically primed to be annoyed.
Exactly. That environment just breeds irritability. A lost dinner reservation in July feels like a catastrophic threat to your survival.
I've definitely been there.
We all have. But by traveling in the off-season, even if the weather is a bit brisk, you are structurally lowering your physiological stress baseline.
That is so interesting.
You buy peace, quiet, and personal space. You are literally paying, or rather saving money, to protect your relationship from environmental stress.
That's huge.
It helps you avoid the dreaded, I can't believe you booked us in Paris in July, marital spat.
Wait, so by choosing November in Italy, I'm actually paying for a lower physiological stress baseline that completely flips how I view off-season travel.
It's all about managing the physical response.
You're controlling the environment to protect the vibe. I love that. But even if you perfectly engineer your environment and dodge the summer crowds, you're inevitably going to hit a wall if you haven't established your personal boundaries before the plane takes off.
Oh, absolutely.
Let's talk about non-negotiables.
This is perhaps the most critical planning step for couples in this season. You have to set hard boundaries, and you really have to communicate them early.
There are some great examples of this in the source material. For some couples, the absolute hard boundary is simply no driving at night.
Very reasonable.
Right. For others, it's no communal bathrooms.
Also very fair.
Oh, 100%. Our research highlighted a specific couple, Dawn and Dwayne, whose non-negotiable is no cooking on vacation.
Good for Dawn.
Yeah, if there's a stove in that Airbnb, Dawn is not turning it on.
Uh-huh.
Another great piece of advice is mutually agreeing to skip medieval castles to avoid surprise elevators.
Or rather, the lack of them.
Exactly, just to save your back.
It sounds like simple pragmatism, but there's a deeper psychological mechanism at play here. When you identify your non-negotiables before you ever leave the house, you are establishing a framework of psychological safety.
Okay, tell me more about that.
You are basically preventing the slow buildup of resentment.
How so? Like in practice?
Well, because unspoken expectations are premeditated resentments.
Oh, wow. Unspoken expectations are premeditated resentments.
Yes. If you know walking up 5 flights of spiral stairs in a 12th century castle will ruin your back and your mood for 3 days, but your spouse loves history, you might force yourself to do it and just suffer in silence.
And then you snap at them at dinner over the wine list.
Exactly. By stating the boundary up front, skipping the castle isn't missing out. It's a mutual investment in the rest of your trip.
I see.
It creates a safe container for the relationship to thrive under the inherent stress of travel.
That is powerful. But here's the thing. Even with the perfect vibe, the best off-season weather, and avoiding all the medieval stairs in Europe, you still have to go back to the hotel.
You do.
You still have to share very small spaces.
Yeah.
Which leads us to the ultimate travel test, the snoring spouse.
The great equalizer of couples travel.
It really is. Traveling with a snoring spouse in a cramped hotel room isn't a vacation. It's a mandatory week-long hearing test.
And retirement means more time together. More time in tiny airline seats, more time in those cramped rooms.
So much closeness.
The friction is unavoidable, and it's amplified by the environment.
Why does it feel so much worse on the road than at home, though? Like, my spouse snores at home and I just nudge them. On vacation, I literally want to end the marriage.
It comes back to the psychology of sleep environments. At home, you have your perfect mattress, the temperature you like, and crucially, you have an escape route.
The guest room.
Right, the guest room or the couch. In a cramped European hotel room, you are trapped.
You really are.
Add the hypervigilance of sleeping in an unfamiliar environment, and your brain is already on high alert. That snoring isn't just an annoyance. Your sleep-deprived, hypervigilant brain interprets it as an inescapable stressor.
So we need a serious tactical approach to this. The framework we're looking at leans right into the humor of this, which I appreciate.
Humor is essential here.
It really is. It suggests bringing earplugs, but not just any earplugs, fancy earplugs. That way, you can diplomatically blame the airline noise instead of turning to your spouse and saying, "You sound like a malfunctioning chainsaw."
It's a very polite deflection.
It even jokes about packing noise-canceling headphones with the excuse, "Honey, I packed these because I love you too much to actually fall asleep."
It's a funny de-escalation tactic, but also deeply necessary. Building an actual snoring survival kit is vital for these trips.
What goes in the kit?
We're talking a small fan to generate white noise, bringing a familiar travel pillow from home to signal to your brain that it's safe to sleep, and even having a "sorry I snore" note ready.
A note.
Yeah, for those really close quarter situations, like a thin-walled bed and breakfast, so you don't alienate your fellow travelers down the hall.
Those practical tips are lifesavers. But then the discussion takes a profound pivot from how do I block out this noise to what is this noise teaching me?
Yeah, if we connect this to the bigger picture, this friction is actually an opportunity. The underlying question here is deeply spiritual.
Spiritual. How so?
What is God or the universe, or simply life itself, teaching you about patience, flexibility, and love through this incredibly annoying journey?
Wow. That is a massive paradigm shift.
It completely reframes the irritation. Instead of the snoring or the cramped space being an obstacle to your perfect vacation, it becomes the curriculum of your relationship in this new season.
The curriculum. I love that.
It challenges you to ask how you can use this friction to actually bless your spouse and grow closer. It's asking you to find grace in the annoyance.
That's a tall order at 3 a.m.
It is, but when you are sleep-deprived and cramped, your true character comes out. That is the exact moment you have the opportunity to actively choose love over frustration.
Here's where it gets really interesting, because that idea of preparation, of managing the physical space and the mental space, extends to the luggage you drag along with you.
Luggage is a huge stressor.
We have to talk about the art, science, and spirit of packing. Because you aren't just packing clothes, you know? You're packing your daily conveniences.
It is a delicate balance of bringing what you need without burdening your vintage hardware.
There's this great joke in the source about the shoe convention. You know, traveling with a partner who thinks they need 3 distinct pairs of shoes for a mild, one-week getaway.
We all know someone like that.
You're not going on vacation. You're hosting a footwear expo. But I have to push back on one of the classic practical hacks that always gets recommended.
Which one?
The advice is always to roll your clothes to save space and reduce wrinkles. But whenever I try that, doesn't it just turn your carefully selected wardrobe into a suitcase full of heavy, confusing fabric burritos?
Fabric burritos.
Yes, you open the bag and have no idea what is what. It's just a sea of cotton logs.
I completely validate that frustration. The fabric burrito phenomenon is real, and it actually causes more stress if you just throw them in loosely.
Exactly.
You end up unrolling 5 things just to find a pair of socks.
Right.
But that is exactly why the rolling method must be paired with the use of packing cubes.
Ah, the magical cubes. I keep hearing about these.
They really are magic. Packing cubes provide structural integrity to your rolled clothes. It turns chaos into a filing system.
That sounds incredibly satisfying.
It is. You have a cube for shirts, a cube for undergarments. This lowers cognitive load. You aren't digging and getting frustrated every single morning.
Right.
Another structural lifesaver is bringing a day bag so you aren't dragging your entire primary suitcase around on small excursions. And crucially, packing a small, specialized first aid kit.
Like beyond just regular aspirin.
Yeah. Band-aids, pain relievers, antiseptic wipes. Because again, we are dealing with vintage hardware. A blister at age 65 can derail an entire week if you aren't prepared for it.
Vintage hardware needs premium maintenance. But beyond the Band-Aids and the packing cubes, there is this concept of spiritual packing.
Yes.
And this blew my mind a little bit. The idea is to ask yourself, what attitudes, habits, or prayers do you need to pack to stay grounded and grateful?
It is arguably the most crucial takeaway for this entire demographic. We spend hours agonizing over whether to pack a light sweater or a heavy jacket, but we spend 0 minutes deciding what mindset we are going to bring.
How does that actually work in practice, though? Are we just telling ourselves to be positive?
Yeah.
Because that never works for me.
No, it's much more robust than that. In psychology, this is known as cognitive behavioral preloading.
Cognitive behavioral preloading. Okay.
You are deciding on your reaction to a stressor before the stressor occurs.
Wait, really? You just decide ahead of time?
Yes. If you intentionally decide to pack a habit of gratitude, or say, a daily prayer for patience, you are literally rewiring how your brain will process travel hiccups.
Give me an example of that on the road.
Okay, so when that train in Germany is delayed by 2 hours, if you haven't preloaded patience, your default reaction is anger and blame.
You blame the spouse for booking the wrong train.
Exactly. But if you have spiritually packed for disruptions, your brain recognizes the delay not as a disaster, but as a chance to sit down, grab a coffee, and people watch with your partner.
Oh, wow.
Preparing your mindset is just as important as packing pain relievers for those aching ankles.
You're literally packing resilience. I love that. Cognitive behavioral preloading.
It changes everything.
Okay, so we've survived the airport, we've set our non-negotiables, we've survived the snoring, and we've packed our gratitude right alongside our first aid kit. Now, the focus shifts to the ultimate goal of the trip, what you actually do with your time together to foster connection.
Right, because without meaning, a trip is just a very expensive, highly stressful change of scenery.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But there's a trap here, isn't there?
There is.
There's this pervasive joke that you think retirement means no more responsibilities, but really you're just trading your work spreadsheets for having to figure out the rental car GPS while driving on the wrong side of the road.
That is a very real scenario.
So my question is, how do we stop retirement travel from just feeling like a new stressful job?
This raises an important question about how couples define success on a trip.
Okay, how do they usually define it?
Well, if your definition of success is a perfectly executed itinerary, hitting 12 cities in 14 days, and capturing flawless Instagram moments to show the grandkids, then yes, it will feel exactly like a stressful job.
With the schedule as the boss.
Yes, your new boss is the schedule, and your spouse is your annoying coworker.
That sounds absolutely miserable. So how do we redefine the metrics for success?
You move away from superficial consumption and lean into activities that anchor you to the experience and to each other. One highly effective method is keeping a shared photo journal.
You mean beyond just scrolling through the camera roll at dinner?
Yes, not just snapping a picture, but sitting down at a cafe together at the end of the day, picking one single photo, and actually writing down what you saw, what you felt in that moment, and what you were grateful for.
Oh, that's beautiful.
That act of reflection cements the memory and forces you to focus on the positive aspects of the day, which again naturally lowers stress.
It grounds you in the present. Another brilliant suggestion from the source is intentionally trying new things together.
Yes, being beginners together.
Not necessarily extreme sports. I
Yeah.
mean, we've established the hardware is vintage, but maybe a local cooking class, a nature hike, or a basic language lesson.
The mechanism there is incredibly powerful. When you've been married for 40 years, your relationship dynamics are set in stone.
They really are. You know other tricks.
Right. One person is usually the planner, the other's the follower. One is the driver, one is the navigator. But when you are both absolute beginners at something like trying to roll pasta from scratch in a kitchen in Florence, it strips away those decades-old dynamics.
It's a total reset.
It forces you to rely on each other in a new, often very funny way.
It levels the playing field.
Hmm.
You're both equally terrible at rolling pasta.
Exactly.
And I was really struck by the suggestion to volunteer. Tapping into retirement communities or travel groups that offer volunteer opportunities abroad, it completely shifts the focus from what can we consume on this trip to what can we give back. It gives you a shared mission.
And to answer your earlier question about how to avoid the trip feeling like a stressful job with a broken GPS, there is a very clear thesis to wrap all of this up.
Okay, lay it on me.
The best trips aren't the ones without problems.
Oh, that's a massive relief to hear.
It's the truth. The truly great trips are the ones where you learn to laugh through the problems together. It's about planning for fun, ensuring you've planned for rest, but above all, planning to extend grace to one another when the GPS inevitably loses its signal and you are lost in a roundabout.
So what does this all mean? When we pull all these threads together, the physical realities, the vibe curation, the snoring kits, and the spiritual packing, it's a powerful reminder that post-retirement travel with your spouse, is an incredibly beautiful gift.
It really is a gift.
It is this unique season that blends the humbling, sometimes frustrating physical realities of aging with the profound, expansive joy of shared discovery.
It is a masterclass in adaptation.
Yeah.
But I would leave you with this final thought to mull over.
I'd love to hear it.
We've talked entirely about how to survive the trip and find meaning on the road. But consider this. What if the real magic of retirement travel isn't what happens in Paris or Tuscany or on a beach in Florida?
Or is it then?
What if the real magic is what happens when you finally come home and unpack?
Oh, wow. Keep going.
Think about it. If you can master patience when the train is delayed, if you can extend grace when the GPS fails, and if you can practice spiritual packing to rewire your brain against stress on the road,
Right.
you aren't just salvaging a vacation. You are completely rewriting the rules for how you and your spouse will interact in your own living room for the next 20 years.
That is profound.
You are building cognitive and emotional muscles that will sustain you through the mundane challenges of daily life. The trip, with all its beautiful, annoying friction, is just the training ground for a more vibrant, resilient marriage back home.
That is incredible. The trip is just the training ground for the living room. So the next time you're stuck on that plane for 12 hours side by side, maybe that cramped space isn't a trap. Maybe it's a classroom.
I love that.
Thank you so much for joining us on this deep dive. If these insights sparked something for you, please share them with anyone you know who is dreaming of, or maybe dreading, their own post-retirement adventures. We'll catch you next time.